Hello there. Welcome to an practice SAT reading test. Today I'll be showing you guys how to go through the SAT today, focusing on the reading section. My name is Daniel, and today we'll be going over the first two questions in this practice test. So, you can see here, this is the reading test. It's around 60, most of the reading test in SAT, around 65 minutes and 52 questions since this video was recorded. Whenever you get to each section of the reading test is divided into sections. You can see here that it says questions 1 to 10 are based on the following passage. How it works is that you have a sort of a couple of paragraphs from a book or a poem or whatever, and then you have a short part of that book and you read it here, and then it makes 10 questions based on it. As you keep going down, you see there are more and more passages for each group of questions, and that's basically how it's organized. So we're going to be doing the first two right here. Now, whenever you go through one of these passages, something I recommend is you first read the entire passage. That way, when you get to questions, you know what they're talking about. And another suggestion I would make is to take each paragraph, or maybe a group of paragraphs, and then record on the side a word or two, or maybe a phrase that is a basic summary of each paragraph. Now, let's read this passage. Akira came directly, breaking all tradition. Oh, yeah, and make sure you underline important parts that you think may come up later. So you can see here, breaking all tradition. This, you can see this sentence immediately tells you Akira is doing something that is probably either frowned upon or is not normal. Was that it? Had he followed form? Had he asked his mother to speak to his father, to approach a go-between? Would she have been more receptive? He came on a winter's eve. He pounded on the door while a cold rain beat on the shuttered veranda. So at first she thought him only the wind. Whoops. Let me just erase that. There. So at first she thought him only the wind. You can see here in this sentence, it's an extremely detailed depiction of the scene. The maid knew better. She heard her soft scuttling footsteps, the creak of the door. Then the maid brought a calling card to the drawing room for Chi. Chi was reluctant to go to her guest. Perhaps she was feeling too cozy. She and Naomi were reading at a low table atop a charcoal brazier. A thick quilt spread over the sides of the table, so their legs were tucked inside the heat. Who is it at this hour in this weather? She questioned as she picked the name card off the maid's lacquer tray. Shinoda Akira, Kobe Dental College, she read. Naomi recognized the name. She heard a soft intake of air. I think you should go, said Naomi. Akira was waiting in the entry. He was in his early 20s, slim and serious, wearing the black military-style uniform of a student. As he bowed, his hands hanging straight down, a black cap in one, a yellow oil paper umbrella in the other, she glanced beyond him. In the glistening surface of the courtyard's rain-drenched paving stones, she saw his reflection like a dark double. This again is more imagery. And also you can see in the previous slide, he said as he bowed. This is showing that he's displaying respect to Chi. Now, okay. Madame, said Akira, forgive my disruption, but I come with a matter of urgency. In the dim light, and his voice was soft and refined. He straightened and stole a deferential peek at her face. In the dim light, his eyes shone with sincerity. She felt herself starting to like him. Come inside. Get out of this nasty night. Surely your business can wait for a moment or two. I don't want to trouble you. Normally I would approach you more properly. Again, this shows us he is breaking tradition as evidenced back in the very first sentence. But I've received word of a position. I've an opportunity to go to America as dentist for Seattle's Japanese community. Congratulations, she said with amusement. That is an opportunity, I'm sure. But how am I involved? Even noting Naomi's breathless reaction to the name card, she had no idea. Akira's message, delivered like a formal speech, filled her with maternal amusement. You know how children speak so earnestly, so hurriedly, so endearingly about things that have no importance in an adult's mind? That's how she viewed them, as a child. This tells us a little bit about Chi, and so she's basically saying Akira. The way that he's delivering it makes her think of him as a child. And now we're going to have to scroll down. It was how she viewed Naomi, even though Naomi was aging internally endlessly and the arts needed to make a good marriage. She had made no effort to find her a husband. Akira blushed. Depending on your response, I may stay in Japan. I've come to ask for Naomi's hand. Suddenly she felt the deafness of the night. Does Naomi know anything of your ambitions? We have an understanding. Please don't judge my candidacy by the unseemliness of this proposal. I asked directly because the use of a go-between takes too much time. Either method comes down to the same thing, a matter of parental approval. If you give your consent, I become Naomi's Yoshi. We'll live in a house of Fuji. Without your consent, I must go to America to secure a new home for my bride. Eager to make his point, he'd been looking her full in the face. Abruptly, his voice turned gentle. I see I've startled you. My humble apologies. I'll take no more of your evening. My address is on the card. If you don't wish to contact me, I'll reapproach you in 2 weeks' time. Until then, good night. He bowed and left, taking her ease with effortless grace, like a cat making off with a fish. So you can see in this sentence, taking her ease. He basically, it's saying that he took her comfort, that he made her wary. That she's now very nervous. And you can also see there's a simile in this line, like a cat making off with a fish. Mother, she heard Naomi's low voice and turned from the door. He has asked you? The sight of Naomi's clear eyes, her dark brows, gave Chi strength. Maybe his hopes were preposterous. Where did you meet such a fellow? Imagine, he thinks he can marry the Fuji hair and take her to America all in the snap of his fingers. Chi waited for Naomi's ripe laughter. Naomi was silent. She stood a full half-minute, looking straight into Chi's eyes. Finally, she spoke. I met him at my literary meeting. Naomi turned to go back into the house, then stopped. Mother? Yes, I mean to have him. Okay, now that we've read through the passage and annotated a few of the important spots that we think are important to the passage, we can go to answering the questions. Which choice best describes what happens in the passage? One character argues with another character who intrudes on her home. You can see answer choice A is not correct. She never argues with Akira, and Akira never really intruded on her home. He merely sat there talking with her outside of the door. One character receives a surprising quest from another. This one is most likely yes. You can see that here, taking her ease, he took her comfort and made her extremely surprised, nervous, and wary. I see I've startled you. She startled her, and by making the request to ask for Naomi's hand. So this B is a possible answer choice here. One character reminiscences choices she has made over the years. This is a hard one. Reminiscences is a very hard word. It basically means to wonder back to like when you were younger or wonder back to a past memory. We can see this is definitely not the case, as no one in here is reminiscing or basically just going, ah, I remember when I was young. This has nothing to do with the passage. One character criticized another character for pursuing an unexpected course of action. While it was certainly unexpected, no one criticizes another person. So we can see our best answer choice here is B. Now, let's move on to question 2. Which choice best describes the developmental pattern of this passage? A careful analysis of a traditional practice. Traditional practices are mentioned many times, such as, please don't judge my candidacy by the unseemliness of this proposal. While there is definitely a note mentioned in the passage, it's never carefully analyzed. A detailed depiction of a meaningful encounter. This passage is extremely detailed. We can see there are similes here and dialogue, and up there we also have more. Details and imagery up there, if you remember. A definitive response to a series of questions. While there is no really definitive response, see, Akira is asked Chi a question. He's come to ask for Naomi's hand. Chi never gives a definitive, right there, resolution response. A cheerful recounting of an amusing anecdote. It's not really cheerful. It's in Chi's perspective, it's something extremely bad. She does not want this child in her eyes to come for her daughter. So it's definitely not this one either. You can see the best answer choice here is B, a detailed depiction with the similes and imagery of a meaningful encounter. Thank you all for joining me here today, and we'll go over the other questions later. See you later.